You motherfuckers is crazy. I said I got to talk. I got to tell what I feel. I got to talk about my life as I see it.
Welcome everybody to the Built for Anything podcast. I'm here with my homeboy. We got Jonathan Blake Vasquez in the building.
Yeah. What's happening, everybody?
Yeah, man. You know, he had to pass through. We got a couple topics that we're going to talk about today. I wanted to make sure I get his perspective on it.
Can't wait to give my opinions on these great topics you have cooked up.
So here's the deal today, guys. First of all, if you are not subscribed to the podcast, definitely subscribe to the podcast. You could catch this podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Google Play, various other sources, as well as definitely check into the Truth Hurts podcast as well.
Got some episodes coming for you. Just stay tuned.
So today, guys, we got a couple things we're going to talk about, man. We got the NFL Anthem Rule that got everybody a bit, on edge right now, wanting to boycott the NFL.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to talk about Morgan Freeman. And he's being attacked by the Me Too movement.
Oh, no. Not the Me Too.
And speaking of Me Too, we also going to talk about Harvey Weinstein, the original Me Too individual, him getting arrested in New York. He's out on $1 million bail. Lord knows I'd still be in jail right now.
Right. Right.
We also going to cover, women in the workplace, because this Me Too movement and some of the allegations that are against Morgan Freeman has to do with the way women are dressed at the workplace. And, we're going to just talk about, what's really going on here.
Yeah, is there just like a case of a lot of sexual harassment going on? Or is it just a misunderstanding?
Exactly. So we're going to talk about all those things. So let's get it going, everybody. Let's talk about this NFL Anthem Rule. Now, before we get into that, we got to talk about the originator for this NFL anthem, this whole thing in the first place, right? Colin Kaepernick. And, Colin Kaepernick was the first person to take a knee. And he said that it was for police brutality against black people. And ever since he took that knee, he hasn't been in the league. You haven't really heard much from him. And it just kind of snowballed. And here we are today with the NFL, one season later, coming up with this rule in order to try to minimize other players from doing the same thing. So JV, man, what's your initial thoughts, first of all, on the actual protest, what it stands for? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it originated from Colin, and he had a message for the police brutality against the colored people. And I agree on that. The protesting, when it was about that, I agreed. But then I think it got watered down as everybody was starting to do it as a trend almost. It was like a trend to knee, and while the anthem was going on. And so I started seeing people doing it. It was more because of the president, not necessarily the police brutality message. And they were just really just trying to shut up the president and kind of give a message to them, and the message got lost. And so when the message got lost, then I'm like, it's whatever to me.
No, I feel you. I definitely agree that the message definitely got lost. It got watered down. It became a means to rally social networks. If you're on Twitter, if you're trying to create a fan base, all you have to do is just go out and say, hey, I'm supporting this. And all of a sudden you have a bunch of people jumping on board. And it became to the point where I don't even think people even realize what it was actually meant for.
Right.
Like some people you would ask, they would simply say, well, they would come up with all kinds of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why I find this kind of interesting, right? When it comes to protesting. As a vegan, right? We're both vegans, right?
Right.
And I like to look at veganism as sort of like a silent protest, because the decision to not eat meat, dairy, and try not to use animal products is the individual's way of saying they don't agree with that lifestyle. They don't agree with the harm to animals. And by not doing this, they're making an impact. Now, here's what I want to compare this to, right? My issue with the protests is this. I know when I choose not to eat meat, I can see the statistical evidence as to what the impact is to the companies, right? I.e., if you ever watch Cowspiracy, any one of them, they tell you how much water is being saved, how many animals is being saved on a daily basis. Also, it affects the companies, because if I'm not buying dairy anymore, then the dairy company is hurting. So what we're doing is directly affecting those companies in a negative way, in which warrants the protests.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I don't understand how getting on a knee is going to prevent brothers, any color, from getting murdered down by police.
Right. I see what you're saying. You're more like you want to see action, more action than just a knee.
Exactly.
Right.
And here's the solution, right? Oh, I have a solution. Right?
Okay. Let's hear it.
You have these teams, you have these players who makes millions of dollars, who not for nothing, even though there was a recent video, I can't remember the dude's name, but the dude out in Milwaukee, he's a basketball player.
Oh yeah, I seen that video.
Right? I think Sterling, I can't remember his
name.
I'm gonna look up his name. But, you know, he was pulled over. First of all, not pulled over. He went into a handicap parking into, I think, a Walmart. So he figured he was just going to run into the Walmart and actually run out. And I guess the cops seen that he was backing out of that space, and he clearly was in a handicap. He didn't have the license plate or anything. And so where normally you would just get a fine, which I'm sure if you're making millions of dollars, you're not going to care. $500 is no big deal. Me and you will never park in a handicap parking spot.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I would never do that.
You see what I'm saying? So, and then that situation escalated, right? He was tased, and it's not a good look. And I think that police officer or whoever police officers that was involved need to be reprimanded.
Most definitely.
So, what was I saying? We was talking about
the Bucks player. He needs to be reprimanded.
Right. So, you know, the police officer definitely. So that's a one-off, right? But what I'm saying is, why am I not hearing about any of these players saying all these cities, right? I think it's 32 teams. All these players, all these cities that you're in, why aren't you meeting with the government officials there? Why aren't you seeing who do these police departments report to? Why aren't you talking to those individuals and making your presence known and bringing your awareness to that? Why aren't we talking about who's funding, who's supporting these police departments, so we could say as a people that, you know what, if you're gonna keep doing this, we're not gonna support those advertisers. Same way they kind of did to H&M. They was upset. Well, we're not gonna buy from H&M.
Well, simply, it's simple, man. Like, the money's too good for the players, and yeah, Cap, he's rare. You know, he actually took a stand. He was willing to take that risk, and now he can't even get an NFL job. But it doesn't matter, because, you know, he's supported by so many people that, you know, he's funded regardless. But everybody else, you know, the regular players, they're not going to take that risk. You know, they love the millions of dollars coming in, and they don't, you know what I'm saying, they don't think they have anything in them to make $1 million without playing football. So that's, to me, I think that's the reason why that they're not doing an extra push on it. You know what I mean? They're just kind of staying quiet and doing kneeling down or whatever it is. But I think the hip hop community is doing more than the actual NFL players. Like the hip hop community, like if you T.I. or Killer Mike, they're actually, getting into government offices and stuff like that. They're actually making a stand. They're actually going up to Houston's and protesting, and they're actually doing way more than that I've seen than NFL players or athletes, period.
Yeah, the athletes do. If you see, that's the thing, right? If you're gonna take on that responsibility, take on the responsibility, right? You can't just Twitter, go out on Twitter,
right, and
just start saying stuff, knowing full well that you're not in the same position as all those people that you're talking about. That's like me, if I'm a millionaire, billionaire, and I'm like, yeah, y'all need to riot. Yet I'm in some gated community somewhere in a big home. I'm good. But I'm telling you, so that's what bugs me out, right? Because I get a lot of people, like they want to boycott the NFL, which I think is silly. Because first of all, you got people saying, I want to boycott the NFL and I'd rather watch the NBA. But a lot of people don't understand is the NBA got an even harsher rule. And that rule came about when there was a basketball player named Muhammad Abdul Rauf. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to stand for the national anthem. I think he was Muslim at the time, and I think he might still be Muslim. But he didn't want to partake in that. And so eventually what he ended up doing was, rather than putting his hand on his heart and being at attention, he would just pray during the national anthem. But it brought such a bad look to the league because he was a decent player at the time.
Right.
That David Stern, who was the commissioner at the time, he didn't even consult with the NBA players. He just simply put out the rule. Everybody stands. Everybody shows up. If you don't, you're going to be fined. You see what I'm saying? To this day, none of these players do it. All these players that's backing up Kaepernick and all that, none of them do it. You see what I'm saying? And the excuse is, oh, there's other ways that we can do it to bring awareness. What's really going on? The reality is, you ain't trying to lose that money.
Of course not.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a risk. That's a risk for them. They're not trying to, they got millions of dollars coming in, doing what they love. I mean, I can't, it's like I can't blame them, but it's another thing is, if you're going to, I would just not even speak on it. If you're not going to be all for it, just don't even speak on it.
Mm-hmm. My issue with the whole thing, man, from the very beginning is very simple. What's the end game? That's all.
Right.
What's the end game? Because it's been over a year now that they've been talking about this and nothing's done. Nothing's done. So getting on one knee isn't going to change anybody's life. If you really care that much, if you really want to see those results, again, we got to start playing the game the right way, which is making sure that we have politicians in place that we put in place,
right,
that we're funding.
We got to go
and we're
vote.
saying, because everybody's being backed by somebody, and you're going to go with who's backing you. If you got a group of people who's funding your campaign, you don't get to the place and then be like, oh, I'm not going to do anything that you want. Mm-hmm. They the one who helped get you there. So if as minorities or black people or whatever, those communities, we have the most spending power. It's been shown that there's so much money in the communities. We make up, these top. See, here's the interesting thing about football, right? It's 3% population of black people, but yet they make up 77% of the NFL. What does that say? That say that they're targeting you and you're not even the majority. So clearly you have power, but you're just not using it the right way.
Exactly.
And until we use it the right way, we're going to keep going down these roads of just going in circles.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. We need to vote locally and get the right people in. the office, so we don't have to hire we had to. If we're gonna hire these cops, they gotta go through a longer process of training or whatever it is, and we got to make sure that they're not racist or anything, because a lot of these cops are, they're just personal reasons, arresting people for no reason or killing people for no reason.
Police yourself.
Exactly, police yourself.
If you really was able to infiltrate the police department in that way, then you could create rules and harsher penalties that say, you know what, if you are going to do things like this that is blatant, then your pension gets cut, or you lose your job or something. Like, there has to be something, or you could be brought up on charges. You see what I'm saying? Something has to be there that tells the police officer in that moment, like, I can't just do whatever I want because I'm going to have repercussions. Right now, there's really no repercussions because they could always hide behind the fact of, I felt threatened. And if anybody knows a police officer, and look, I'm not trying to bash police officers. They have tough jobs. Definitely. And they are good police officers out there. Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like every interaction I've ever had with a police officer was negative.
Right.
It's not true. And I know people who went into the force, regular people who's just like, they just want to go do their job and just come home. You see what I'm saying? Like, if they could go through their whole career and never have a situation with anybody, let alone somebody black, they'd be happy. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But the reality, what people don't want to talk about is like, shit is real. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's really situations where it ain't all innocent. You see what I'm saying?
That's true.
It ain't all innocent. And
That's true.
You want to protect yourself as a human being too. So if I know you scared of me and you might pull out a gun on me or something like that, just because I'm a police officer with a gun, I got to be even more on edge than you are. You see what I'm saying? It's like, you know I have a gun. I don't know what you have. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, if I give you the benefit of the doubt, like, you're just a good person, I turn my back or something like that, I could lose my life.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, people who are criminals,
right,
they ain't good people. Like, they don't play by the rules.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So let's not act like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to look at it both ways. You
right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, they got to just take extra precaution with certain people, especially criminals. And you never know what people are capable of.
Yeah, I think they got to have better screening for people who even want to be cops.
Definitely, yeah.
Because
I agree.
You got to be able to make decisions in the moment. And if you somebody who can't make decisions and you just scared or you feel threatened, you shouldn't be in that position. Mm-hmm. And there should be constant screening, like, not just once you get the job, but like an evaluation throughout that. Like, what is this person's tendencies? And, again, I worked at a job where, like, we were constantly training. There's a new training coming out. You got to finish it by this date, to just kind of update you on things. Again, I'm not in the police department. Maybe they do have things like that. Right. But there need to be stuff like that that's monitoring, people. How many complaints does that person get? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just like every other job. If you work in a job where you got to help customers, you could be a nice person. But if you got 10 complaints on your record, I can't keep you on the job.
All right.
It's just real. I can't keep you on the job. You could be nice to me. But I'm like, damn, JV, 10 people complained about you in the last year. Maybe 8 of them ain't right. 7 of them ain't right. But what about the other 3 or 4? You see what I'm saying?
Right. I totally understand. I mean, that's just it. We just gotta be real more strict on the police, and until then we're not gonna fix a problem. We're not gonna fix the problem that there is, and we gotta police ourselves as well. I agree with that.
Yeah, we definitely do. And the NFL players, the thing is that why are people looking to the NFL to solve that problem? It's not the NFL's job. Let's just
Right.
call it what it is. The NFL's job is to provide entertainment for you, provide football players. They're not responsible for what goes on in the community. So who you protesting?
Yeah, we gotta look at both perspectives. We some of us are just one sided. You know what I mean? And I've been seeing that a lot. Like we don't put our feet in their shoes. You know what I mean? And we gotta start doing that. We gotta start because stop being one sided about everything, because we might be wrong about certain things. You know, we're human beings at the end of the day, so we all make mistakes. If we don't look at this at both perspectives and realize what's going on, kind of sit back and think about it, then we're not going to really, come to a solution. You know what I mean? And we like you said, the NFL, they provide entertainment. That's their job. So of course they're gonna, now they don't want us to protest, because then you're making it about protesting and whatnot.
Exactly.
And when you start thinking and putting your feet in their shoes, then you start realizing, well, yeah, I see where they're coming from now.
I'll take it even further. Like we gonna get real right now.
Okay, let's
get
get
real right now.
I'm all about real.
You get a lot of people who complain about what's going on in the NFL, and they act like they could do whatever they want at their job. Knock it off. You can't do whatever you want at your job. You can't protest at your job. Period. If whatever you do at your job is losing the company money, you're going to get fired.
Definitely.
Period. Like that's not a debate. You see what I'm saying? You could say you have your First Amendment right. We all got an amendment right. But dude, I can't work at a job and go in the lunchroom and stand on the table and say, fuck all these hoes in here and this and that. I can't do that.
Now they'll fire you.
What's going to happen to me if I do that?
You get fired real quick.
Okay, so when they fire me, is there going to be a protest in front of the building saying, yo, he has a right to say whatever he wants?
I don't think so, but unless you take it to the news or something, I don't know. Who knows?
Nobody's going to allow that. You see what I'm saying? If I'm a
Right.
business owner, so that's you as an employee. If you're a business owner, you hire people. If that person could have a good cause, they could say, you know what? I use this as an example, right?
Okay.
We're vegan. Let's say you worked at a steakhouse, right?
Right.
Money's good, whatever. You got to do what you got to do. You work at a steakhouse. But yet, you take it upon yourself to every customer that comes in, you want to preach to them about veganism. You want to tell them that they shouldn't be eating that food, right? Which is possible, right? You're vegan, right?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to you if those people start complaining?
Oh, I'm gonna get talked to. Definitely, I'm gonna have a meeting with the boss.
If people decide not to show up because I don't want to deal with JV because he keeps talking to me about that, and I just came here to eat my steak. What do you think is going to happen to you?
Oh yeah, I'm getting let go. I'm getting fired. No hesitation.
Simple.
Simple. No hesitation.
You got a business to run.
Exactly.
Right? Now, when you leave the job, you could post whatever you want on social network. You could stand outside of whatever other restaurant you want and protest this and that.
Right.
But if you work at the place, you think if you're going to protest in front of this place, you think you're going to clock in right after that?
Nah, they're going to fire you.
People, what don't we understand about that? I don't get it. You see what I'm saying? So when people say they should be able to do this, they should be able to do that, it's easy for you to say because you don't work there.
Exactly.
You're not an employee.
Exactly.
So don't get caught up when people start telling you to do things, and then when you do it and you lose your job, and then all of a sudden you look into those same people who told you should do it because you lost your job. They're not paying your bills. All they're gonna do is this. Thank you.
Job.
Good job. Now you're broke.
And some people, like I said, like they have different perspectives on why they work in there. Like some athletes that I've seen that are not taking a stand, there's reasons behind that. They rather sacrifice that to make money, you know, and sacrifice that they can't protest for their families. You know what I mean? They have family providing, and for their future family that, you know, they're going to provide for, because they're making so much money right now that they're able to provide for their grandkids. You know what I mean? And you gotta respect that. You definitely, like, I have to respect that. I'm like, man, I don't blame you. You know, they're already taking a risk by, you know, going out there, because you know, we all watched that movie. What was it called? Concussion. They're already taking that risk. So, I mean, these guys, they know what they're getting themselves into, man. So, you just gotta respect it.
You do, man. It's already a tough sport, and I just don't think. And there's a lot of people who are confused as to why there are fans on both sides, because not everybody came to a game to deal with that. Mm-hmm. That's not what you come to the game for.
Right.
I just come, you know, if you go to watch a baseball game or football game or whatever, you got to understand that all of this is distractions. It's just pastimes. That's why they say, you know, baseball is, or football is, you know, America's pastime. It's saying that these are things that you watch to get away from work, you know, to get away from your everyday life. You get to sit there and you get to watch athletes and people compete, and you're rooting for one side or other. It goes back to the Babylonian times where they used to have warriors in the ring, and it was all entertainment. People would come out and just go crazy. It's entertainment. They don't come here to decide, oh, you believe in this ideology and you believe in that ideology. Like, that's not what I came here for. Sports is the one thing where you could sit in a crowd, and let's say I'm a Lakers fan, which I am. If I'm in a crowd and somebody else is a Lakers fan, and we at, I don't know, a Boston Celtics arena or whatever, we're gonna be like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
My fellow Lakers. Like, there's an immediate connection. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I've gone to the Cowboys Stadium, Giants jersey on, and I see other Giants people. What's up? Giants, Big Blue. White, black, Spanish, whoever.
Right.
It's like nobody cares in that moment. You see what I'm saying? It's just like, you root for your team, I root for the same team. Great. You see what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody coming there to be like, oh, well, you believe in, you know, police brutality or not. And so, like, ain't nobody come here for all of that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. But then there's going to be the arguments that, oh, well, look, they're controlling these players and controlling.
Are you controlled at a job? All you people who don't understand that, I need you to quit your 9 to 5 right now, because you're being controlled by your boss. They tell you when to go to lunch. They tell you when it's okay for you to use the bathroom. Mm-hmm. They tell you when it's okay for you to go home. They tell you when it's okay to come to work. They tell you how many vacation days. They tell you how many sick days you have. That's not control. That's
definitely control. That's why, personally, I'm all about entrepreneurship. So that's what I like, to keep it real. You know, I don't like being controlled, but some people, they rather take that route. They don't want to take the risk of you know, the Kaepernick risk, the entrepreneur risk. You know what I mean? And I can't argue with that. You know, can't help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. So
exactly. And if you work for a job, you got to understand that there's rules in that job, and they pay you, and you have the freedom to decide, I don't want to do this. You could quit. That's not slavery. You see what I'm saying? Like, you could choose whether you want this job or not.
Right.
And you could walk out. There's no law that says you have to stay here. You can leave.
You might feel like you have to stay there, but you really don't. You know, I've walked out a couple jobs. True story.
Exactly. So for people, again, to look at these players and act like the onus is on them to sacrifice potentially their jobs, right? In order to do this, to address a bigger agenda that, honestly, again, they can't do even on a football field. You see what I'm saying? You got to do that off the field. Like if you want to put in that work, you got to put that work in off the field. And some of those guys are not built for that. Like everybody's not built to lead a revolution.
They're not built for anything.
Get in front of. Exactly. Everybody's not built for anything. Shameless plug. Right?
No pun intended.
It's the truth though.
Right.
So, I just say this, man. My thoughts on this is very simple. If you can do whatever you want, nobody's saying you can't do whatever you want, but understand that you can't do whatever you want when you working for other people and they're paying you. I think that's common sense. If you don't understand that, that's your business. It's easy to say that as a fan, what other people who are employed by other people should do, because I don't see people taking a knee when they watching the game. I don't see people doing that in the bars. I don't know if people are doing that at home. I doubt it. So if you really want to make a change, and there are things that we need to address in these communities, I think we need to focus on that and let the sports be what they are, right? Which is entertainment, a distraction. Right. And it's not the means to changing society. That's not what they there for. You see what I'm saying? So I think because if that's how you feel, understand that all sports, right? Even soccer that's about to kick off the World Cup, June 15th. If you ever watch those soccer games, I went to a soccer game and both teams they play both anthems.
Oh, okay.
And people respect both sides. So that means if I'm going to watch Brazil versus Italia or whoever, they're going to have each of their national anthems. You're not going to see people from, one that's going to, choose to disrespect the other, or that's not going to be going through people's mind.
Right.
Right? They usually respect both sides. They came to compete. It is what it is. Right? Yeah. So every sport, they use that patriotism as part of the sport to unite people. So that's why it's there.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like a lot of people are like, well, who says we got to do this for the anthem of that? I'm like, every country has an anthem. Every country, when they go to the Olympics or anything, like they always, so like, why are you acting like this only happens in football? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm just saying that's not, that shouldn't be the focus. If they want to play the anthem, let them play the anthem. Whatever. You see what I'm saying? If you really care about what's going on in these communities, address what's going on in these communities.
Exactly. That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Really, really address that. So let's go on to the next thing, man.
Oh, man. It's going to get juicy now. It's getting
Morgan
juicy.
Freeman, man. They trying to get Morgan Freeman, man. My man Morgan. He on the chopping block.
This is pissing me off now, man. They're trying to get Morgan Freeman, and what y'all trying to get rid of Jesus?
He done played every role. See, a lot of people don't understand. Like Morgan Freeman is one of the biggest actors. Period. He's been in a ton of movies, 3 decades worth of movies, done voiceovers. He's, he may not be the highest paid, but he's made the most money.
He definitely plays
as an actor.
He definitely knows how to play his role good. Like whatever role he is, which is mostly like, everybody, they kind of relate him to the God voice and whatnot because he does a lot of narrating. And so he does that great. And he does that for a lot of movies because it's great.
A lot of movies. And so, him being in the entertainment business, I'm sure he's come across a lot of. See, here's the elephant in the room, man.
Let's go ahead.
I gotta backtrack for a second because again, I gotta keep it real, man.
Keep it 1,000.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand, right? There's this thing called groupies, and groupies exist in all forms of entertainment. There are groupies that go after athletes. There are groupies that go after rappers and singers. There are groupies that go after actors. There are people in this world who are willing to sacrifice their bodies.
Sacrifice.
And I'm talking sexual. I call it sacrifice because they do it with for example, you have some groupies who's like, you know what? I'm gonna fuck the promoter just to get close to the rapper. You see what I'm saying? Like they wanna bang the rapper in order to get attention or whatever.
Right.
But they're willing to bang the homeboy. Maybe he could put in a word. Like, right. This is the reality. And so you got a lot of people in the entertainment business that's willing to do that. And these are stories like I'm not, this ain't a debate. All these singers, all real. These rappers, like they'll tell you like they go place to place, city to city. There's always women that's willing to throw themselves at them. So the same thing go with athletes. A lot of these athletes, like you see Tristan Kardashian, he was snitching, talking about, you know, Tristan all Kardashian. The players in the league, you know, have side chicks. You see what I'm saying?
Sounds like Kobe Bryant back when Shaq, you know, him and Shaq got caught.
Hey, Kobe, my man, yo, Kobe, my dude.
Yeah, I'm just going, yeah.
But it's the truth.
Yeah.
But we understand that. You see what I'm saying? So when you are an actor, you could get pussy. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
You could get it.
I mean, when you make millions of dollars, you can get it.
When you make millions of dollars,
money talks, so it's whatever.
You can get it.
And you get it for free, especially if you have the fame and the riches. That's easy.
You could get it. So, but what's happening now is there's this fine line now, right? Where because the precedent is being set that a woman, and again, not all women, because I don't advocate, you know, rape or anything. In fact, I'm sitting here saying, if you are an entertainer and you have money and you travel the world, why do you even bother even trying to rape? Or even if I'm somebody who know I could bang plenty of women, if one woman tells me she don't want to do something, okay, no problem. There's 20 other women that, like, why even be bothered?
But maybe because they're tired of the ones that's, you know, always throwing themselves at them. And maybe they just want somebody that's, you know, a little challenge. You know what I mean? Maybe, I don't know. I'm just...
No, that's what happened. I agree.
I'm just thinking of the, why else would they do it, you know?
And that's the weakness in these people, is the fact that after a while you start to want what you can't have. Right. Because you have it in such an abundance. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't tell me, I don't care who you are. Like, all these, look at Lil Wayne got like 5 baby mamas. He look like a fucking turtle. Like, this dude, like, he ain't no 6'6" brolic dude. Like, they with him, like, he's high most of the time, 90% of the time. But he's Lil Wayne. You see what I'm saying? So if he's banging chicks, you can only imagine what, you know, the Boris Kojos or the Morris Chestnuts or the, you know, I'm just saying the people that considered more attractive, like, they bang whoever they want at this point. And so now we get into a point where women, you have a lot of these women now that are coming out that are saying that, you know, words that are said to them is considered harassment now.
Oh my God. Come on, give me a break.
You see? And this is my code red to a lot of brothers out there who work in the corporate environment. This is a signal to you that if you work in an office environment around women, you know, be very, very careful. Okay? Because a lot of times there's always a lot of relationships that go on in the workplace.
Yeah, definitely.
See what I'm saying? Like, I've been to plenty of different jobs where, like, you know, the manager's dating this one or these two are a couple or whatever. Like, when you're around someone or a group of people majority of the day.
Yeah, you're going to tend to.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're going to tend to like somebody. You know what I mean? You're there. You're spending most of your time with them. You know what I mean? So, of course, it's natural to like somebody at the workplace. I mean, because you see them all the fucking time. Cause
Exactly. So what's going to happen is that a lot of relationships tend to happen. And so now you have to be very, very careful, because now the women are more empowered to say, you know what? I didn't like the way you looked at me the other day. I didn't like the comment that you said that my hair was nice today. My hair is nice every day. And now that could cost you your job.
Felt uncomfortable because the way he said I was beautiful.
Right. And now you can't give a compliment. Like these are all things like, you would hug, your coworker or something like that. Or you tend to see a lot of office jobs where people start to get really close. And that's going to have to stop.
Yeah, that's going. There should be no human interaction going on at the workplace.
That's where we are with it today.
Unless you're the same sex.
And even that's tricky.
Yeah. I mean, now
even that's tricky. It's a lot of. Gotta be careful with that too.
See, I have a problem with like this Morgan Freeman thing because, come on, ladies, like this guy, he's a smooth operator. He's a narrator, so his voice is, when he talks, it's just so smooth. You know what I'm saying? So when he talks to women, women probably love that shit. You know what I mean? I could just imagine, because I'm a smooth operator myself, and when I start talking and I start feeling myself, women loved it. Just using the deep voice, and it gets them all hot and bothered. So I don't believe that these women were uncomfortable or blah blah. I think it's just to come up little, because it's trendy right now. Sexual harassment is trendy.
It's true, and I'm not saying things don't happen.
Right.
But now we're starting to empower people who are simply just didn't like things that the other person say, or see, here's another thing too. Like me and JV was talking about this before we got on to do the podcast. Like I was telling him that, what is it like if a woman, shows up to work and they showing a lot of cleavage, or better yet, they walking down the street and a really, really short skirt, or just really revealing clothes. And if me as a man, I'm not saying that it gives me the right, or anybody the right to just, pull you and just whatever, but you might get a comment. You're gonna get some attention.
I mean,
is what I'm saying.
It's natural. Like, come on now, when you see a beautiful woman, she's looking right, like. Everything's looking all natural, she coming outside half naked, just a sundress on, she's walking down the street, and when she has a nice little, she has lovely lady lumps, and they're looking good, you know what I mean? They're shaking around and whatnot. Of course, we're gonna be like, our mind's gonna be wondering immediately, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go talk to her, you know what I mean? And
of course,
and some men just go, they don't even care. They don't give a fuck. They're like, hey, little mama, what's up? They'll just start shouting at the woman. You know what I mean? And the thing is, women might say, well, I get to dress how the way I want to dress. Well, be prepared to get these comments. Be prepared to have guys come up to you. Be prepared for the backlash. I'm just saying,
And I dare any woman out there, imagine if you lived in a world where you went through all the trouble of getting your hair done, your nails done, feet done, all that good stuff, your makeup, and nobody from the opposite sex even acknowledges you. Never says you look nice, never says nothing to you.
Well, hurts they do it for themselves, remember?
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. You go through all of that, the squeezing your big ass feet into them little shoes, right? You go through all that pain with the heels, where your feet hurt, right? You go through all of that for your homegirl. Come on, man.
For themselves. For themselves.
For themselves and their homegirl. They don't want no attention. Come on, man. You know, so like I said, fellas, the game is different. Leave it alone. If you work in an office environment, be about your business. Don't have certain conversations, because you see, here's another thing, right? Like, I've worked in an environment where certain conversations will come up, and usually they're instigated by the women in the job. Guys, don't do it. Don't do it. Like, they'll ask you, trap. You know, bring up conversations about relationship, sex, all this stuff will happen in the lunchroom or in the, you know, in the job. Leave it alone. Be like, nah, I'm good. I'm not going to participate. Because if you say something that they find offensive,
you're definitely going to get fired.
You're done. You're done.
Hey, you could say it. You know what? Go ahead, do what you do, but be prepared for the repercussions. That's all I got to say. So, you know, if I'm working at a job and I'm like, fuck it, I don't give a fuck if I get fired. I'm going to say what I want to say. You know what I'm saying? Because it is what it is. You know, please fire me.
Oh, yeah. If you want to get fired,
if you want to get fired,
by all means, guys, ignore everything we just said. Go in your job, take a knee, tell everybody in there what you think about them, cuss everybody out, and you'll be out of a job. Guaranteed. All right? Guaranteed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, go say what you want to say. You've been wanting to say to that woman that works with you.
Your First Amendment right. That's what you're going to say. It was my amendment right. I could tell her whatever I want. Go in there. Go do that. See what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Unemployment. That's what's going to happen. If you want the fastest way to unemployment, take a knee at your job and tell every woman in there that she got a fat ass, big old titties, and see how quickly you get fired.
Oh, man.
It's the truth, y'all.
Can't.
That's the world that we're living in right now. Like, you can't, the compliments, keep that to yourself. If you're in a position, especially if you a manager or you in an upper position from a female that you might find attractive or whatever, but you're her boss or you're a level up, leave it alone. Leave it alone. And believe it or not, there's guys that get harassed at the job by women.
Oh, yeah.
So let's not act like it don't happen.
I've been harassed at the job by women.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you like the only male in there, you know, because now you have that energy. So they have to pick on you. They have to be like, man, oh, he's looking good today. Or he just got a nice cut.
Right.
Or whatever. Like, you're gonna draw that attention naturally.
Shit. They can sexual harass me all day long, though. You know what I mean? I invite it.
See, that's the thing, right? Guys we don't look at it from that perspective, right?
Right.
Because I would say, the guy kind of controls the narrative with that. Meaning, a guy could sit around a bunch of women who's gawking at him, and he's gonna go with who he wants.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, they can't dictate like nothing. A bunch of dudes chasing a woman could be very overwhelming. You see what I'm saying? At times, and it's like, that could be a shaky situation because you don't want to be in a room.
That's too much testosterone.
With a bunch of exactly. But a guy like me, if I'm there with 5 girls around me, I'm cool.
We can. They all have a role. Shit.
You see what I'm saying? But a woman with a bunch of dudes,
oh, no.
That could be a scary situation.
That's too many swords in one room.
Yeah, a lot of swords in one room. So there's clearly a double standard with that.
But women got to be equal, man. Remember?
I'm not even gonna go down that road because that's a how you piss off people quick. Is just start talking about equality and all that other stuff.
That's another podcast.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother podcast called Equality that I need to do. where we talk about what exactly is equality, whatever.
Yeah.
He's laughing because he knows, like, yeah, I could go on and on about that. But it's just, Morgan Freeman. See, even with Harvey Weinstein, like I was saying, I know he got a lot of dirt on a lot of people.
I mean, I believe his ass was really sexual harassing, though. I believe.
Yeah, he had the whole casting couch, but I think
that's been happening, though.
Exactly. But I feel like the women have to take some culpability in this, because if a guy is in a position of power and he's the director or the writer or whatever,
right,
and you trying to make it big, you want to be an actress. If somebody's putting in front of you that, hey, if you sleep with me, I got 3 other roles for you that I could give you the lead on, you still have a choice. You still have a choice. You could say, you know what? My self-worth is more important. My body is more important. My integrity is more important. This is something, yes, I worked hard for all my life, but here I am faced with a decision of, do I compromise who I am as a human being in order to get this opportunity? That's a choice. You could say, no, I'll pass.
Well, I want to reach my dreams.
It's a tough decision. Exactly. It's a tough choice, but it's a choice.
Well, a lot of people don't want to go the long route, and they're just ready to, go right to it. And even if they had to take that sacrifice, that they will, even though they were uncomfortable, whatever the case may be. Hey, their dream is more important. But I think they need to think about that. Like, there's other ways you can get to your dream, but maybe you have to go the long route. Be patient.
Yeah, you got to decide, and I think, and you got to understand that every time a woman in that situation chooses to sleep with him, you create a bigger monster. Because now, when he's done it 50 times, when he gets to 51,
it's normal,
and that
now.
person is like, no, you just created a bigger monster. He's like, the last 50 women was cool with it. Here you are. So if all 50 women said no, after a while, when do you stop doing it? You see what I'm saying? At some point, you got to say, shit, man, this ain't working. You see what I'm saying? I keep giving these chicks the ultimatum, and they keep telling me no. And here I am, having to bang high-priced prostitutes or something.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like he can't get the actresses to do it. Eventually, he's going to say, you know what? Fuck it. But the reality is, someone like a Harvey Weinstein, there's thousands of women or hundreds of women who was like, okay. You see what I'm saying? No problem. I need money. I got to get this bag. And they do it.
I need to pay my bills.
I got to pay my bills. He's going to give me a role. And they do it.
Hey.
There has to be some responsibility to the individual to say, like, yo, why did you... So it was okay for you to compromise yourself in that moment, and then years later, once your career's over, now you want to complain about it?
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to point the finger and blame the person. It's hard to take responsibility. It's hard. And people don't want to do that. And now that you're not making any money, now you ain't big, you're trying to take somebody else down. Misery loves company. But I don't agree with any of that stuff that he was doing. Like, you know what I mean? But I agree with what you're saying. But both ends, they should take responsibility.
Yeah, because I look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that this goes on in entertainment all across the board. And it all boils down to the same thing.
Yes.
People who want to get a contract or get an opportunity, and they're allowing themselves to have sex with people in order to get there. I just think that if you make that decision, yeah, it's going to be hard for you to look yourself in the mirror, but you chose to do that for money. So don't do it, get the money, and then years later, when you still can't look at yourself in the mirror, then turn around and talk about, oh, well, I was pressured into doing this or that. You made the decision. You made the decision. And maybe if more people hadn't made the decision, yeah, you wouldn't have gotten the opportunity. But at some point, maybe if the people before you didn't make the decision, then this person wouldn't even bother doing that.
Right.
Because he would realize that it's not getting him what he wants.
Right. True. That's facts.
You see what I'm saying? So
facts.
You see how they go hand in hand. And so rather than just focusing on the people who are in the position of power, which I'm like you, I agree, you shouldn't abuse your power in that way.
Right.
But they're doing this because out of 20 people, 19 of them are down. 19 of them are with it. It ain't all 20 who not with it. 19 of them are with it. So there got to be some culpability, on the females, as well as, and not just females too. There's males out there, bending over for a contract. It is. I'm just keeping it real. I'm keeping it a buck. That happens. So there's a lot of dudes, especially in the rap game and the acting. We there's plenty of that goes on too. So
I don't even know what to say to that. I'm like, come on, man.
People want an opportunity, and that's unfortunately that goes on a lot in Hollywood. And so you get rid of a Harvey Weinstein, okay, you're just gonna get another one. You got people like Russell Simmons, who was bad-mouthing Harvey, and then you find out that he was doing something just as despicable too. So you have a lot of these people that I think, especially the ones that's been around for the longest, maybe some of the new age people, it's a little different. But like if you've been in the game for decades, especially back then, they all got a history. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you're a different person back in 20 years ago, 25 years ago, whatever. You're a different person. And maybe in times were different too. Got to think about that. Like with the Bill Cosby situation. Quaaludes were in. People were taking those things like Tylenol. And it was normal. But now we look back 30 years later, I think he raped me. Or whatever the case may be. But times were different, people were different. It was a different world. So
dude, I remember there's a picture out there. You could go on Google and Google it. Eddie Murphy eating food off of a model's back. You ever seen that picture?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is back in the day. So back in the day, they was wilding.
Yeah, they was freaks. Just like we is now.
Freaking out. They was wilding.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
So I'm just saying, a lot of these dudes, if they really a lot of them could be pulled up on the Me Too thing. A lot of them. And I just want to see what's going to happen when you get a female who try to pressure a dude into doing something.
Man, they're not gonna take that shit. They're not gonna take that shit serious. What, they're gonna be a Mr. Me Too?
Exactly, Mr. Me Too.
Come on now, that shit ain't gonna happen at all.
Because that happens, man. Females have male groupies too. Females have male groupies too.
Definitely. And but
I think anybody.
Guys don't take it that serious though. I mean, most men. If you really love women, like I do, I wouldn't. If I was uncomfortable with the sexual harassment, I would let the woman know. First of all, it wouldn't even it wouldn't even get to nowhere. You know, she's gonna get that energy.
What I'm saying is, I'm pretty sure there's scenarios where a guy who might be in a committed relationship, might even be married, trying to get into the business, and there's a woman who he may not find attractive, or maybe he's just, trying to be committed to his lady, and she's kind of like pushing up on him like, hey, you're looking kind of cute, this and that. She's watching him, knowing that, hey, if you bang me, I can help you get an opportunity. You see what I'm saying? Like, let's not act like that can never happen.
That does probably happen, actually. That sounds like it does happen. I don't know. That'd be a different situation.
I've seen that in movies, in the form of blackmail, in the form of like where, hey, some women, that's what they want too, for whatever reason.
But vagina feels so good.
Hey. I said it was a choice. I didn't say it was a hard choice. So he, the male in question might be like, shit, man, this is what you all in a day's work. But
what they call it, a brown bag special.
It happens. Hey, exactly. Paper bag over the head.
All right, we're gonna make the women listeners mad.
I know y'all gonna be mad. Look, I'm just saying. All I'm saying is that it goes. I'm pretty sure that it happens on both sides. Doesn't mean that it's right. Mm-hmm. It's not. I'm just when people text me and they say, yo, they got Morgan Freeman, yo, I'm shocked. I'm like, what are you shocked about?
At this point, I'm kind of numb to this shit, but I'm like, damn. It's like, damn, like,
duh.
Fuck, like, why? I'm
all of them. Denzel, Will Smith, all of those guys, I'm pretty certain, allegedly, I gotta say allegedly, I'm pretty certain allegedly that they've been in compromising situations where there've been forms of infidelity here or there. Like, come on.
Right.
I mean, and you hear about it. Denzel, Sanaa Lathan. You hear about Gabrielle, Will Smith. People forget Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt met. Well, they got really close when they did Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Well,
that's where that kicked off.
He basically cheated on her.
Right. He was cheating on what was her name?
Jennifer
Aniston. Right. So let's not act like things don't happen.
On the movie shit.
Yeah. People get a little bit too close.
People don't know how to get out their acting role.
For real. Wesley and a bunch of people. And he's another one too. Watch. You gonna hear about him.
Oh man.
Watch. You gonna hear about Wesley.
They can't get my boy Wesley, man.
He's due. He's due.
They've been trying to get him.
Due. Once that money run out, they come for you. If you don't do what they tell you to do, they come for you. They got tapes on all these people. They got records on all these people, bro.
I don't doubt it at all. I do not doubt it. It's fucked up. When is it gonna stop? When is the madness gonna stop? That's the real question. When is the madness gonna stop?
And you gotta understand, right? It's not going to really stop because there's really nothing governing the entertainment industry. There's no government body or people, like most jobs have a bureau above them or federal
right.
There's none of that. They kind of police themselves in a way.
They're their own entity in their own business. So it's like,
that's what's happening.
Play by their own rules.
Hip hop, who's governing them? Who's saying this is, they're monitoring this, I'm monitoring that.
Like a hip hop police.
It's not. Who's monitoring the labels? Nobody's monitored. No government or state is monitoring the labels. They do what they want to do. Same thing with acting. Who's monitoring these people? So you got individuals who, if I have a lot of power in the industry, then, I'm somebody who's, if I choose to abuse it, it's like there's not much that can be done, because in order for opportunity or something to happen, it has to come through me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why I say it's the industry. That's why I say you can't be shocked. But the people going into it, the people who are on these casting couches, the people who want to do rap and all of that, and they're being told that, yo, you got to bend over if you want to get this check, whatever. Y'all got to, at that point, you got to decide, like, is this worth it? And if it's not worth it, then you need to find another way to get to where you are, to keep your integrity, man, because money comes and goes, but when you compromise yourself in that way, that's why you hear some of these people commit suicide. Like those B2K kids, or one of them, like they instinct, whatever, because they were getting touched when they was young, and like they commit suicide because they can't deal with that as an adult. You see what I'm saying? Knowing that those things happen.
That's crazy. This world is crazy.
That's the world that we in, man. And that's why, I just think we just gotta. I'm glad this stuff is happening, so people could see what's happening behind closed doors. So if you desire to go into these type of professions and everything, that you go into it with an open eyes. So when, if you're not willing to do it, you do something else.
Right. I see what you're saying. Either way, if you get into a new industry or anything, you should already kind of have knowledge of what's going on. Ask questions. Ask questions of people that are already in the industry. You can't just go in there blind. You got to know what's going on. So, is this for me? Is this really for me? I should expect this, but I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? So, be aware, be knowledgeable, and yeah, everything will be good. You can avoid a lot.
I couldn't agree more, bro.
Yeah.
You got to be aware. And a lot of the stuff that goes on, people know. Like, they tell them. Like, especially with, like, the Harvey thing.
A lot of shit, common sense.
Yeah.
Common sense.
Like, someone can't be doing all of that and nobody knows and nobody says something. People talk.
Man, that's a word around town. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
It's common sense, but common sense isn't common.
People make the decision to ignore it because they want to make the money.
Hey, you gotta make that paper.
That's the root of this evil, is the desire for money. Not money itself, because money can do a lot for you and can do a lot for your family and a generation. It's the pursuit of it that corrupts people. And that's the part where I feel like if we don't eliminate that, if people aren't willing to not do that,
right?
Because they're just going to do something else and feel like, you know what? I'll abuse my power over here to get that.
I mean, people got to be strong. People got to be strong-minded and realize money is it's really debt. It's really debt for us to buy certain things. It's not even backed by anything. We're in debt. Everybody is. So
yeah, money is.
But that's a different conversation for a different podcast. But it gets deeper than that. You know what I mean? It gets real deeper, because this is what money ain't shit really, and that's why I don't live by these principles of being money hungry all the time. Of course I need money to do certain things and to survive, but I try not to let money consume my mind. You know what I mean? I want to do it. I want to be a good human being. that's what, being a good human being and do what you want to do in life, money comes with it, and that's cool. So that's what I mostly try to focus on, instead of just let me get to the money. I need more.
Look, very well said. I agree. And I think we're going to leave y'all on that note right there.
Right.
Money isn't everything. It's not the only thing.
Right.
I'm not saying you don't need it, but a lot of people out here are just giving up their souls for it, and just understand that it comes back to you in some way, shape, or form. So we can't be surprised when we see a lot of these people strung out on drugs and depressed, wanting to commit suicide. Like, you got to really ask yourself, what would make a celebrity want to commit suicide? You see what I'm saying? When money is no longer the object, what makes someone want to commit suicide? Because money isn't the only fulfillment that you can have in life. And if you believe that, you in for a rude awakening.
Right. All right, guys. Well, we're signing out. Built for Anything podcast. Follow me at Jonathan Blake Vasquez on Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias. Tune in on the Truth Hurts podcast. New episodes coming soon. Man, thank you, Hurts, again, for having me on this podcast, man. I enjoyed it. And this is definitely going to stir up some controversy. And I'm waiting to hear the feedback.
It definitely will. Guys, thank you for listening to the Built for Anything podcast. Peace and love, y'all.
Yeah,
We out.